Welcome everybody. My name is Jain 108 from Australia, down under, and I'm really excited to be presenting to you this webinar on sacred geometry of the 369. This is all about hidden codes that are hidden in nature, and today I'm going to reveal the magic of where 3, 6 and 9 has come from. I've received many emails and questions over the years about what's the importance of 3, 6, 9. So this presentation is not just about the number 369, it's also about the sacred ratio of what 3 is to 6 is to 9. So stay with me. There's a little bit of number theory in here, but I want to make this as visual as possible for you. So this is about the revelation of where 3, 6 and 9 have come from. So I decided to put all this on a chart. As you can see, I work with really large charts. Here's the completed chart here, just to show you. It's like 1/2 meter long by 500 as well, and I put all the information there so that people can actually see that there's so many references to 3, 6, 9. So this is the same one here. So you can see there's been a lot of love and devotion going into this, and it's actually taken me about 40 years of researching and collecting this information to be able to put it together in a way that's coherent. So we get to the point where we ask this question: is there a divine code embedded in our number system? So I'll explain that over the next 3 chapters. So part 1, or the introduction, will be a bit on Keely and Tesla, a bit of physics. Part 1 is on the multiplication table, when we digitally compress all the big numbers to single digits. It's really all about what we call continued subtraction of 9, because 9 is the magic number. Part 2 is called the 369 in the magic square of 9 by 9. Part 3 will be a bit of number theory. We're going to cover things with Pascal's triangle, the Dublin sequence, Fibonacci, and even twin primes. So there's a lot of exciting topics here. To begin with, most people know this expression. The most famous expression in sacred geometry is, if you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6 and 9, you would have a key to the universe. But I have not found any reference to Tesla saying that. But if you study the work of Keely, who's pictured over here, Keely did a lot of work with wires, and he said that if we take gold, silver and platinum and wrap them up into a wire, we're going to get better results, because on the periodic table of elements, the orbital electrons and the valence, which are the outer electrons, have a relationship of 3, 6, 9 with the speed velocity. So there's a lot of atomic physics involved in this. So we're standing on the shoulders of the masters like Keely, who did a lot to show us that we had to work in the ratio of 3, 6 and 9. So he did a lot of work with what we call the disintegration of the water molecule. Like, we're all talking about hydrogen power to run our cars on water. But so 100 years ago, these amazing artists and physicists were talking about the aquatic or the aqueous disintegration, or what I would call the atomic dissociation of the water molecule. And it was all based on frequencies. And these frequencies had a relationship to 3, 6 and 9. In fact, Keely developed the Keely Motor Company, and he insisted that his motors were based on the principle of 3, 6 and 9. Otherwise, he would not release a secret number, but we suspect it was based on that ratio. 369 was a clue to vibration, the antagonistic thirds, breaking up the water molecule to release hydrogen, levitation. So he called this high vortex action. So the more I research Keely and his work on implosion, what we call cavitation, it was all about the relative frequency of 3, 6 and 9. So just study, you can study his work, it's all out there. As a choir boy, Keely was fascinated by the church rose windows that vibrated when the whole choir sang. So he was a child, and when everyone was singing in church, he could feel the vibrations, and he became like the father of frequency. So he is as important as Tesla is, because he worked with these natural forces that we call the ethers, all these interatomic associations. So we get to Tesla. So this presentation is not on Tesla. I just wanted to let people know, like every time we use that quote, if you only knew the magnificence of 3, 6 and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. Every time we post that, people say it wasn't Tesla, but no one's ever said that it was Keely. So so we believe that the ratio of 369 is attributed to Keely on his law of molecular being. So this brings in the work of tuning, forks, and also in this presentation we're going to talk about harmonic numbers. So if a number adds up to 9, like say take 369, we got 3 plus 6 plus 9 is 18, and then you add the digits. 18 is 1 plus 8 is 9. So any number that adds up to 9 is called harmonic. But what we're really doing is subtracting 9 from any number. So if you took 27 and subtracted 9, subtracted 9, subtracted 9, you'll end up with a 9 anyway. So that's the introduction, just so that we clear that famous quote. My work began about 40 years ago in high school when I looked at the multiplication table. So this is also known as the Vedic square, but this is all about taking the multiplication table that you know, and from each 2-digit number, like 12, we're going to subtract 9. So if you took 9 from 12, you end up with 3. So we're going to write 3 for 3 times 4 is 12. So on the next chart, we're going to see that 3 plus 4 is 12. We're going to have just single digits. And we're going to see that the 3 times table just goes 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9. And this one here is the 9 times table. We know that 9 multiplied by itself always gives us a 9. So 9 fives are 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. And the 6 times table is a repetition of 639, 639. So we're looking for repetition. That's what excites us. But the whole multiplication table is being now reduced to single digits, and we call this the Vedic square. And what we're looking at is we're looking for all the 3s and then the 6s and the 9s. So I've highlighted all the 3s here. So you can see in 3, 369, 369, 369. I highlight these 3s, which are over here, and these are all the other 3s. So there's 12 3s in this diagram. So you have to start off with what's called a grid of 81 dots and locate all the 3s. But each point of those 3s has a frequency relationship to every other point. So I've decided to connect all the points. So from this 3, I join a line to every other 3, and you get this multi-dimensional geometry. But that's called full circuitry. But over here, I've just decided to do half the lines and showing the boundary of it. So that's a hand-drawn diagram. Now we're going to look at all the 6s. Again, there's 12 6s, but did you notice that these 6s are at a rotation, 90-degree rotation to the 3s? And when we join all the 6s, we end up with the same pattern, but it's tilted. So this is the computer drawn. All the 6s are joined, full circuit. This is half circuit. So I was doing this in my 20s. So all my life I've spent studying digital compression. So what we've just looked at the relationship of all the 3s and all the 6s over here, and it works out that all the other pairs, like the 1 and the 8s, they also have mirror imaging. So if we were to look at all the 1s and all the 8s, we'll see that the pattern for all the 1s and the 8s are at 90 degrees complementary to each other. And I usually have all the information about these geometries as well that you can put on your glass windows. So 2 and 7 is 9, and 4 and 5 is 9, and all the patterns are mirror imaging each other. So this is all about symmetry. So there's the 3s and the 6s. So these are blueprints of creation, codes of creation. And then if we keep rotating the 3s and the 6s, if we rotate it more and more, we get these exquisite, exotic patterns just by art of rotation. And that's part of the key to the Jain 108 Academy, is called the art of number. We turn numbers into pictures, and a lot of these pictures that appear like Maltese crosses are actually ancient symbols. So that's the power of rotation and symmetry. So this is, I've combined all the 3s and 6s here, and that's the full circuitry, which is a beautiful diagram. But here I've just shown you the boundary of it. And this diagram here that you see is actually what's on the panel of all the slides. If you look at the artistic panel here on the side, we can see that we've modified the 3s and the 6s. So this is the hand drawn. I liked it showing the computer version of precision with the handwork, which shows attention to detail, even though they're both identical diagrams. So this is the same 3s and 6s, the partial circuitry, and you can see that we could create a new age circuitry and space age designs based on all the 3s and all the 6s. Then I've decided to highlight in the Vedic square all the 3s, 6s and 9s. So the 3s are all in yellow. There's 12 of those, and there's 12 6s, but if you look at all the 9s, you can see that all the 9s, there's a whole panel here and there's 4 in the middle here. So that's a beautiful diagram that I made just to highlight that not only is the 3, 6s and 9s important, is that if we look at the negative spaces in black here, there's all this these 2 by 2 subcells are all mirror image, and a lot of them are all adding up to 9. So, because I believe 9 is that which underpins the universe. Lots of other people have done these matrices. It's in the mass consciousness now. People are really excited. The word matrix is the old Latin word for womb, because these are geometries of creation. I originally found this when I was in high school. I found this diagram of the 3s and 6s from a very rare book. It's so rare I had to photocopy it. It's called The Language of Pattern by Keith Albon. And Keith Albon studied with a mentor of mine who I met in Sydney called Keith Critchlow, and they were doing Islamic patterns, and Keith Critchlow actually works with Prince Charles, and he's doing architecture and studying their rose garden. So these are amazing beings who are working with sacred geometry at the highest level. So that's why I'm just acknowledging that book, because we need to acknowledge all those people who came before us. So this is my version of the 3, 6s and 9s all put together on computer. This is another version done by my graphic artist, and we're just showing you the internal symmetry. We're making visible the invisible world. So let's see, when we look at all the 9s, let's join this dot to every other dot, and this point connects to every other point. So the full circuitry of the 9 looks like this, but the halfway point is if you only connected some of the dots. And what would happen if we put all the 9s together? So I did this way back in 1984. So here's our original diagram in this quadrant, but I could tile this pattern 4 times and end up with some more exquisite tessellations, and I call this the 4 angels of the world. So you can see that your multiplication table, which represents growth of cells like 2, 4, 6, 8, it just represents life's continual process of renewal and growth, and it's reflected in this 9-point circle. So when we have 1 to 9 in a circle and we join 3, 6 and 9, it's the only shape that just gives us a triangle. All the other times table gives us 9 points, but this is about the trinitization of consciousness. So 3 and 6 are a pair that add up to 9, and they make the beautiful like the Star of David. But the Trinity, the triangle, is generated from 2 circles. That's called the Vesica Pisces. So all we need to know about the triangle is that it's the first area to be formed in the plane, and what it represents is the father and the mother, 2 opposing forces, come together in love and in union, and a child is born. So 3 is all about fertility and renewal and growth. We see it in flowers, we see it in the triangle numbers, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3. The first thing that children should learn is the triangle numbers. And we see that the triangle in a circle actually creates the golden ratio. So this is a very psychoactive diagram. The circularized equilateral triangle is full of the mathematics of nature. And when I talk about the mathematics of nature, I'm talking about the pine cone ratio. 8 to 13 is the same as the triangle in the circle. So this is interesting knowledge. It's just a stepping stone to start exploring what you've always worked with, the times table, but never really thought about it. The next section, part 2, is on the magic square of 9 by 9. So I'm going to show you how I generated this magic square, and all the numbers that compose the magic square all add up to 369. So the 9 columns here add up to 369, the 9 rows and the 2 diagonals. So that's just, and I've put that together as a chart showing you all the information about 369, how I even turn it into like a sine wave, like a waveform frequency, and how this actually even creates the labyrinth. So what's interesting about the magic square is that before we make a magic square, we just write a natural square. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you write all the numbers from 1 to 81, the cross or the two diagonals already add up to 369, and so does the central cross. So this is before we've even made it all add up to 369. So we look at a natural square, add up the cross or diagonals, and that tells us that everything adds up to 369. So if I join a line from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 of the magic square, we end up with this kind of ley line pattern or a grid of energy that goes around the planet. Notice that the central number is 41, double that is 82. So if we were to join all the pairs that add up to 1 and 81, which is 82, we end up with more symmetry. But we can turn, if we highlight all the odd numbers in the magic square of 9, I call it the Tesla code. If we highlighted all the odd numbers, we end up with what's called a seed cross. And this seed cross is how we generate the 7-circuit labyrinth, which is one of the chapters in Star Kids. We like to get children to start off with the 9 code and then turn that into what we call the 7-circuit labyrinth. Bit of number theory is that the central column of this 9 square, all the last digits end in a 1. So if you look at that central column here, there's a lot of symmetry hidden, embedded in there. Again, it's another universe of information. When we look at the alpha and the omega, we say, what's the first and last number? So 1 plus 81, which is 9 squared, adds up to 82. And look what happens when we join all the pairs that add up to 82. So 21 and 61 is 82. 8 and 74 is 82. They all pass through the center. So that's an important component of magic squares. We can rotate the magic square, and this one here is a mural that I did. And I've rotated it 4 times at 45 degrees. And you can see as we keep rotating and superimposing, it gets more and more exquisite. So this is the one that I've finally colored in, which makes that beautiful decal. That's the one that I showed you at the beginning. So this is all just from joining the dots from 1 to 2 to 3. And these are just different versions of the same pattern because there's an infinity of colors that we can use. We can reduce all the 2-digit numbers to single digits and just look at single digits and realize that there's a lot of symmetry going on as well. There's a thing called magic cubes of 9 by 9 where the central cell adds up to 365, the number of days in a year. So these magic cubes, which is 9 by 9 by 9, also relate to time codes. So then I've created other magic squares that add up to 369. And then we can have bi-magic squares where every number here, when it's squared, also adds up to a harmonic number as well. So this is advanced mathematics of magic squares that the masters are doing to show us how 369 just keeps appearing. It's used in the ancient Hebrew to create what they call planetary seals. This relates to the magic square of the moon. A lot of literature on that. Something I really love is that if we take natural counting numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it works out that if we look at the 9th row, which I have over here, 37 plus 38, this is just natural consecutive counting orders. It all adds up to 369. So what I'm trying to show you is the diversity of how 369 appears. And all these numbers in red here are all the magic square constants. So here's the 369. This is the 8 by 8 square, the 7 by 7. So when we look at all these triangle numbers, squared numbers, a series of pentagon, hexagon numbers, the number 369 appears in this chart. It's all kind of like ubiquitous. It appears everywhere. So I've spent a lot of time collecting all this information. It's actually taken 40 years. And just the last part is number 3. So part 3 is called number theory. So I just want to show you that the 369 appears in Pascal's triangle. It appears in the doubling sequence, Fibonacci, and twin primes. So I just want to show you, when you take Pascal's triangle, what you need to do is you add all the two previous numbers. You add 1 plus 1 make 2, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3 make 4. So as you keep adding, 1 plus 4 is 5, 4 plus 6 is 10. We end up with this famous chart. But what I've decided to do is to take away the number 9 from all this information. So we know that the coefficients of the binomial theorem, when we look at what's x plus y squared, x plus y cubed, all these coefficients reveal Pascal's triangles, the numbers in the lines. So there's a lot of number theory here, how we even can make Fibonacci numbers from Pascal's triangle. But what I want to show you is how we can take away the number 9 from everything in Pascal's triangle. So when we get to 10 here, we take away the number 9 and we end up putting a 1 there, a 1. So now we've got single digits, and you can see here in the chart we've only got the single digits from 1 to 9, and look at the beautiful arrangement of all the 3s, 6s and 9s. So we couldn't have seen this if we didn't subtract 9. So digital compression, which is a Vedic sutra called digit sums, where we add the digits to make big numbers into single digits, reveals this amazing matrix of 3s, 6s and 9s. And these color-coded triangles here show what's inside. There's a lot of information in there, but I just wanted to show you that it's a key component, because when we look at the three-dimensional version of this triangle, we end up with what's called the Sierpinski tetrahedron, which is another multi-dimensional extraction of the 3, 6, 9. And you can see here when we shade in all the odd numbers in black, so the even numbers are in black and the odd numbers in white, we end up with all this triangulation, which is what number 3 is all about. So this is the other, this is part 3b, which is the 3, 6, 9 in the doubling sequence. I just want to show you that when we write 1 to 9 in a circle, and we're going to join the 2 times the powers of 2. So when we join the powers of 2, I'll show you the powers of 2. We go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, but we're going to reduce those powers to single digits, and we end up getting a code. We end up getting a code that's going to take us into like what they call vortex mathematics, and it's all going to reveal the secret to 3, 6, 9. So we go 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, but when we get to double digits, 16, we add the digits. 1 plus 6 is 7. 32 is 3 plus 2, we get 5. So we find that the digital reduction goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, and those 6 digits keep repeating forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 and plug it into a circuitry. Just so you understand what the powers of 2 do, is I've got a chart here. This is a very rare Rosicrucian chart that takes the powers of 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 way up into the trillions and the billions. And this is ancient Atlantean knowledge, because what it reveals is the X-ray frequencies, the electromagnetic fields and the spectrum, and all the different frequencies for heat and radar are all in the powers of 2. And so that was given to me about 30 years ago, which gave me lots of insight into the importance of the powers of 2. But what we're going to learn from this code of 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 is that when we divide it into 2 rows of 3, all the pairs, the columns add up to 9. 1 and 8 is 9, 2 and 7, 4 and 5. So there's a lot of symmetry. So we need to turn 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 into a picture. So we join a line from 1 to 2 to 4, which looks like this. 1 to 2 to 4, 8, 7, 5, and it keeps repeating. And then what we notice is that there's a missing 3, 6, 9. So the importance of 3, 6, 9 is that when we do the binary code, the powers of 2, the 3, 6s and 9s are not in that sequence. That's like a missing gap sequence. So that's why I've highlighted it here. So when people talk about the magnificence of 3, 6 and 9, it's what's missing in the powers of 2, because powers of 2 is more about technology and physics, but the powers of the Trinity 3, 6 and 9 is nature. So this is a union of the powers that govern technology and the natural world, the synthesis of the Trinity with the powers of 2. So do you notice that there's a central line that reflects the yantra, the diagram for 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5 can be reflected through the 9-point circle. It looks like the human brain. So just wanted to show you that when you superimpose the golden spiral into the binary code, they meet at this emanation point. The eye of the spiral meets almost approximately or exactly the center of the binary code. So this is the importance of turning numbers into art, because then we get an understanding of how it works. We've also got the 369, where does it appear in the Fibonacci sequence? So in the Fibonacci sequence 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, we've reduced it to the 24 repeating digits, and the 369 is this pathway from here, from 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9. There's a whole chapter on that, because it's not really about the Star of David that reveals the 3, 6 and 9. It's not this diagram. This is the importance of joining 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9 in an unbroken unicursal pathway. So that means the electricity in our future diagrams will be going forever. And just to conclude, there's 3, 6, 9 in other references to different sequences, which I'm just going to flick through here. Just want to show you that this here is called a rhombic dodecahedron, and when we keep laying the balls that make this shape in onion shells, like many layers, the fifth shell of this rhombic dodecahedral sequence is actually 3, 6 and 9. So that's called number theory, and this is number theory here too, where we take all the numbers like 111, 222, 333. As we add the digit, it keeps making 369, 369. I want to, just to conclude, want to show you that one of the most important topics in sacred geometry is the prime numbers. And when we look at what's called the twin primes, like 1 and 23, they're on the points here. If we look at 5 and 7, 11 and 13, they're separated just by one number. Like 11 and 13, the number between them is 12, and because 12 is always divisible by 6, so twin primes are just one number apart. But when you add the digits, like 17 plus 19 is 36, and it adds up to 9. So all the twin primes can either be a 3, 6 or 9. So this is why digital compression, the art of subtracting 9 from all these big numbers, produces a relationship to this trinity. There's a thing called octominoes, where you take 8 tiles, and how many different ways can we lay out 8 tiles, like square tiles? There's actually 369 different variations of how an octomino can be tiled. So this is what I mean. This is all just references to 3, 6 and 9 in other sequences. And just to conclude, a lot of people are using 369 as a frequency in meditation. So ultimately, we want to know what's the purpose of all this research. How can we use 369 cycles per second to relate to the 7 chakras, to create healing and relaxation? So I just want to conclude that I don't want you to be overwhelmed by this knowledge. I just want you to understand that 3, 6 and 9 is one of the components of sacred mathematics, because when we understand that everything comes back to a 3, we see that that's a symbol of fertility, renewal and growth. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I just wanted to let you know that I do have an online course. If you want to learn more about sacred geometry, I have a fantastic course called The Flower of Life. It's kind of like a beginner's guide. So I've put a lot of love and time into getting this knowledge there out for you. So this is where you would start if you want to learn sacred geometry. It has 29 lessons, 12 hours of information, and they're pre-recorded classes, and you have it for a lifetime. So you can see that today with this presentation, we only just scratched the surface. I've got I go into more detail into this course, which is the story of creation and how we are connected to the universe, how we are interconnected at all scales of existence, and that's called scale invariant. It doesn't matter what the size is, we're connected to the infinitely small and the infinitely large. So all this information normally is valued at $1,008 US. But I have a special for you because you've been attending this webinar. I'd like to, as a bonus, give you all the 6 workbooks that I've put together. These are all full of beautiful worksheets for any child of any age to work through the information. So they're presented here as the 6 ebooks on sacred geometry. In fact, I would like to also give you a recording of this webinars, which means that you can watch this again, because I did go a little bit fast. Pause it at your own pace and stop and start. You can share it with others. And also, I get asked many questions, so I'm always active inside the course. And also, we give you a certificate of completion. That's something that you can hang on your wall. We've also included the best of all my social media posts. That means you get a collection of videos, you get a bit more mysticism, ancient knowledge, so much information. You just work at your own time. So today, because you are on this webinar with me, I'd love to reduce this down to $275 US. That's kind of like 70% off. I get many questions from all around the world. Yasmin asks, I don't have time, but I really want to learn. So yes, we offer lifetime access. The lessons are pre-recorded to enjoy at your own pace. So Yasmin, just click on the link. Jonathan from Canada asks, I am not good at maths, but will this be too advanced for me? There are no prerequisites to join, just it's suitable for all people. So Jonathan, just click on the link below. And finally, Louise, yes, you can comment on any video. She says, can I talk to you inside the course? Yes, I'm always active inside. So just click on the link below. So like I said, it's discounted because I just want to share this knowledge with the world. And I'd just like to thank you for your time and just come to a conclusion. I believe that as pattern hunters, we seek to witness the world of hidden order submerged in the oceans of apparent chaos. We conclude that all ancient knowledge is recorded in the flowers and crystals of nature, and it is written in the archetypal language of sacred mathematics, in the rhythm of 3s and 6s and 9s. Our job is to decipher these coherent patterns as they communicate to us the magnificence and intelligence of creation. And with this knowledge of the mathematical trinities, to use them in our emerging technology to make a better world. Thank you for your time.